Vanakkam, Chennai. It's a pleasure and honor to have my dear friend, Honorable Dr. Tyagarajan, Minister for Information Technology, here with me for the Fireside chat. As most of you know, he's a chemical engineer by profession from REC Trichy. And also, he went and did his PhD from University of Buffalo and an MIT Sloan MBA. His stellar background in academics and professional services in investment banking is followed by a two-time MLA out of the Madurai constituency, which is near and dear to me. Like, I grew up close to his constituency. His father and my father were dear friends in those days, and we grew up in Tirunelveli side. His father and his grandfather were iconic members of the Dravidian culture. They were great philanthropists, and today what you see in the state of Tamil Nadu is largely contributed by his grandfather and father, and now Dr. Tyagarajan is following the legacy of his forefathers. With that said, you all heard the Chief Minister's vision for $1 trillion economy. It's not too far from where we are. If you think about where Tamil Nadu is, right around 300 billion in size, 8% growth year over year, a lot of things that needs to happen by 2030 is going to start from here, the amazing talent we have here. Minister, you did the first white paper on the financial health of this state 2 years ago when you were the finance minister. And fast forward 2 years, a lot of things have changed. $1 trillion economy is a big, bold bet this government is making. And what do you see as major infrastructure investments, whether it's technology or physical infrastructure that needs to drive? And how do you see the financial situation in the state of Tamil Nadu to kind of take it in the next 5 years to achieve a $1 trillion economy?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for coming, for all your help on the organizing of the conference. I think you have to take a kind of broader global look to really contemplate which particular trajectory is a realistic trajectory for Tamil Nadu, or for India for that matter. And I always give the comparison that if you look back to 1990, China and India had roughly the same per capita GDP. And then in the course of the last 35 years, China has become between 3 and 5 times our size. If you look at the statistics, which both in India and in China are a bit less than, spectacularly clear. But China did it one way. China did it by becoming the manufacturing engine of the world and by having the big foreign exchange investments that offset its otherwise currency rise that would have slowed down this growth. That route is not a viable route for India. So really, whether it's India at the Prime Minister's ambition of 5 trillion or Tamil Nadu at our ambition of 1 trillion, it has to be about the human resources. It has to be about the per capita productivity. And it has to be by the fact that India, depending on the way you look at it, or which subsection of the population you take, India is somewhere around 20 to 25% of the global human resource pool, of the workable or working age human resource pool. So if we're going to make any investments at all, by far, the most important investment we're going to make is in education and skilling and increasing the productivity of people. Now, you can do that at multiple levels. You can do that at the current college graduate and recent college graduate, current college student, current high school graduate, etc., where you only need to do a bit of finishing work. Just downstairs, Professor Junjunwala of IIT was showing. It only takes about 6 months to really bridge the gap between even a second-tier engineering student and what is required to be a productive person. But really what we should focus on is improving the quality at every level of the education system so that every successive generation is substantively better in their productivity. And so the number one infrastructure I would emphasize is educational infrastructure, is human resource infrastructure, and you can do that many ways, through better nutrition, through better teacher training, through better schools and classrooms, also through better connectivity, through internet. So to me, that would be number one. Of course, you also have to improve physical infrastructure, whether it's roads or water systems or quality of life measures like traffic management. But those things, I think, are secondary. And at some level, you cannot do that faster than some natural limit. Like how much ever money you have, you can't build that fast. But you can improve the quality relatively rapidly if you focus on human infrastructure. That would be my initial instinct on that.
Talking about talent, Minister, one of the biggest differentiators for the state of Tamil Nadu is the abundance of technical talent, deep technical talent from engineering schools, and you can see thousands of people here. Historically, that success was derived from the service industry, right? The past 10 years. But when you think about a $1 trillion economy, is service industry good enough, especially with significant levels of automation and other things happening? There's a huge reskilling that needs to happen. But also, what is the focus of the startup TN efforts to drive more and more products out of India, generate more IPs and more unicorns out of India, especially for the state of Tamil Nadu? I'm looking, with this level of deep technical talent, we should do a lot better than service industry today, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. Let's compare the service industry and the manufacturing sector, right? Because historically, we used to think that if you do a lot more manufacturing, you have some kind of a stable or potentially second order, third order benefit kind of economy. But I can tell you that in my adult lifetime, I used to be a consultant in the United States. I can tell you that the extent of automation in manufacturing has been exponential, right? So if you look at car assembly factories, we're big in the auto sector in Tamil Nadu, or you look at OEM suppliers to cars, or almost any manufacturing facility, what used to take about 100 human beings now takes about 10. So as much as technology has been feared as the job destroyer, as the productivity enhancer that will lead to net destruction of white-collar jobs, in fact, technology in the manufacturing sector has been a huge job eliminator in manufacturing, in the blue-collar jobs. So whether you like it or not, I think services is going to be a big part of the future. It's going to be a lot of services, but there can be three kinds of services. It can be services related to the local economy if you have a local population purchasing power. It can be in that village, in that small town. So you'll have services related to the local economy. As the economy grows, those demands will increase. And consumption is quite high, as you know, in Tamil Nadu as a percentage of the economy. Or it can be services related to manufacturing. A lot of vehicles now, there's so much software and electronics and automation engines that go into cars or that go into equipment. So it could be related to manufacturing services. And then there could be a whole lot of services delivered over the wire to the rest of the world, like global capability centers, like engineering design centers, like R&D centers. And to me, the great luxury we have, because India produces roughly about 1 million engineers a year. And the great luxury we have is that about, depending on which statistic, between 15 and 18% of those engineering graduates come out of here. That's an enormous talent pool. In fact, one of the things that has hurt us as Tamil Nadu is that we have not been able to create jobs fast enough. We have not created nearly enough jobs to absorb this level of engineering graduates. And what we have seen, therefore, is a substantive migration of Tamil talent to other parts, not just of the world, but other parts of the country, to the big tech centers like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, greater capital region. And in fact, one of the initiatives that we've been working on is to try and identify this Tamil diaspora around the world, reconnect them, and build kind of an affinity network so that A, we know what's really happening, B, we know who's what where, and C, we can try and leverage those kinds of connections and networks to draw investment and draw job creation in Tamil Nadu. In fact, actually most people may not know that, but if you look at that logo that we have at TN, that's actually the inception of our branding of Tamil Nadu as the IT destination. And if I can get somebody to play a video, I just want this logo to be explained a bit.
Round of applause, everyone. That's very inspiring, Minister. I have to say, you've done a fantastic job inspiring many of us, people like us, to come back and, at some point maybe even settle down here. It's the ease of doing business with today is far, far better than what I've seen 3-4 years ago. And vast majority of that came from your influence in the government and making things easy for us. A little segue into what I call core. When you think about economic growth, the two things that really make a difference in infrastructure is, talent and compute. The world is moving more and more into hyperscalers, and that is driving rapid growth in AI. I know you're deeply involved working with many of these hyperscalers to bring them into Tamil Nadu, set up shop here, but also drive a lot of R&D investments here with the chip manufacturers and others. Can you speak a little bit about your view on what the next 5 to 10 years look like, and how the backbone infrastructure with power and other things that is needed to support will kind of influence that investments coming into Tamil Nadu?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to veer off a little bit, but I want to go back to something core that, because this video reminded me something. What separates Tamil Nadu and our model, and I say this apolitically, I say this of all political parties in Tamil Nadu that have ever held office in the last 50, 60 years. It is about the people, right? And that, to me, the singular success of Tamil Nadu today is we have always thought about the people, about the youth, about our competitiveness, and given our culture, which was both focused on Enlightenment education, but also with a global view, because we were a seafaring race, hundreds, if not thousands of years ago. This, to me, if we don't get that right, and we get it right a couple of ways, it's not just whether we can create an IIT. Of course, we'd love to have 10 more IITs. But our efforts have to be that in every village, in every district, in every part of Tamil Nadu, the youth are given the chance to get to the same height that somebody in a Chennai or a Coimbatore or a Madurai will get. So this notion of distributed or inclusive or across all places, and that's pervasive in the Chief Minister's thinking. Every time he gets a chance to speak, he keeps mentioning these points. And why I say that is in some sense core to our identity also. That it was the social justice movement going back 100 years that led us to have compulsory elementary education. That has now brought us to the point where we have a 50% enrollment in tertiary education, unlike any other state, right? So all the infrastructure that we need to build in terms of physical infrastructure or power infrastructure or the water resources for data centers or hyperscalers or for any of these has to be in a way that is not concentrated in one place. It has to be across the state.
Right.
And luckily for us, we're also the leader in clean energy, right? We have the most renewable, I think 35% of our supply or something is renewable. We're fairly big in wind, we're fairly big in solar, we're decent in hydro. We're starting to see a lot more potential through offshore wind. And our ambition is that in the pursuit of this employment-driven, people-driven growth, we should not create such bad environmental outcomes that we are long-term failing for short-term growth. So we have a chance to do it in a sustainable way. And I think particularly with microgrids and the fact that we have a more urbanized state than any other state in India, we are going to be able to balance, on the one hand, distributed growth and access and development, on the other hand, localization of renewable energy sources, and either through things like broadband on the wire, as I said in my speech around TANFINET, or around the kinds of things that you specialize in. You're on the board of Intelsat, which is through the space satellites. We hope that we can get connectivity to everybody, and if we get localized green energy and connectivity and human talent development and skilling, then we create an unbelievable or unbeatable combination that can take us to the next level.
Right. Minister, back to your point on social justice, DEI effort that goes into deep, villages into Tamil Nadu. One of the things that I learned in the last couple of months, talking to you, is the investments that's happening in secondary cities moving down south. Historically, people always talk about Chennai and, Hosur and the big vicinities of the large city metropolitan, but now your focus is in places like Tirunelveli, Tuticorin, Madurai, and where there is significant talent concentration and the investments you've made in the last several years of developing that talent is going to be such a critical part of this tier 2 cities. Can you talk a little bit about how that tier 2 cities are evolving, or even tier 3 cities are evolving, and how that kind of supports your grander vision of $1 trillion economy?
Well, I'll give you a couple of examples, and I think those will flesh out the notions of the sectors of growth that I talked about. If you take a place like Coimbatore is effectively almost as attractive right now to large global companies as Chennai, right? Because it has some limitations in terms of connectivity, it has some advantages in terms of resilience and not as much risk for flooding and things like that. In Coimbatore, the supply is about a third of the demand for office space. That's how much ambition there is in Coimbatore. And in Coimbatore, we find that we are not nearly capable of growing fast enough. In fact, the Chief Minister has had in this budget announced a 2 million square foot additional building. We already have a 2.5 lakh, 250,000 square foot building. That building has like 4 bidders to take 100% of it. That's how much demand there. So Coimbatore is almost a tier 1 city status. Then you come to a place like Madurai. And Madurai, because if you take like a 100-kilometer radius or 150-kilometer radius around Madurai, you will get something like 60% of the engineering graduates of Tamil Nadu, because Madurai is central to the state. Then you find people coming from, like my friend who may be here, Pinnacle, who has come, he's otherwise based in other parts of the world, and in the north of India, he didn't go to Bangalore, he didn't go to Chennai, he came to Madurai. Started with 1,500 people, now on his way, he says, in a few years to 6,000 people. And there it's about, again, decent infrastructure, really good talent. HCL, for example, started less than 8 years ago with almost nobody on a commitment to be in second-tier cities, and now has scaled to something like 7,500 people and doing high-end R&D work. So Madurai is almost a talent story that is about to take off relative. Then you go on places like Erode and Tirupur. There's so much manufacturing and so much other activity happening that A, there are investors and entrepreneurs and industrialists who have the money to invest, and B, there's a lot of technology and services that are related to those industries, whether it's agriculture, whether it's poultry, whether it's textiles. And so there's a demand there, and there's actually thriving ecosystems of the IT industry in these kinds of places. So, this evening I'm going to have a talk with by video with the director of the National Science Foundation in the US, Sriram Panchnan. And he has set up something very interesting in the US, which we hope to emulate here. That's why I requested him to talk, where the government goes and identifies in every local economy what is the strength of this economy? Is it textiles? Is it food processing? Is it this particular kind of printing? What is it that is the local strength of this economy? There's an ecosystem of excellence and a legacy around it. How can we fund innovation clusters in this field, in this sector, in this area, so that we can make sure that development is spread across every place, and there's not just the Bay Area, and there's not just like, New York or Research Triangle Park. That model, I think, is really, really applicable to us. It fits us because of the way our demographics and our geography is. It fits us because of the way our social justice philosophy works. And it fits us because, we have the population mass, right? It's not like you take a state like Telangana. A huge amount of the population is in Hyderabad, and the rest are all like very, very small towns or cities. It's not like that here. We have the great luxury of, many million plus or 1.5 million plus cities. So I think that'll work really well.
That's great. Switching a little bit of topic here, the last couple of years, we've always known Tamil Nadu to not just be a talent hub, but also a healthcare hub. Post-COVID, we saw huge advancements in things like telemedicine, and now AI is coming in. I know that the Tamil Nadu government is by far in front end of the number of medical colleges set up in the state, and also investments in healthcare technologies. Where do you see us kind of leveraging the current infrastructure into the next decade? Is it just healthcare tech for Tamil Nadu? Is it going to be more for the global, healthcare needs? How do you see us kind of shaping into that world of new generation healthcare industry?
Yeah, it's very interesting because Tamil Nadu is an absolute outlier as far as medical education and the ratio of doctors to patients is concerned. Right? We are in a league of our own. In fact, many of you who live overseas, the overwhelming odds are that in almost any big city, every state of the US, your local GPs will include one Tamil doctor, right? We are producing so many Tamil doctors for so long. But here we have a different problem. Here, though we have a lot of doctors, our own health administration and health infrastructure, hard infrastructure has not actually kept up. And I'm saying that apolitically across all governments and all parties. So even when I was finance minister, I was making this point again and again, that we need to find much more efficient, much more technology-driven, data-based ways to administer the vast resources. We have just finished the interim, the vote on account on the budget. Right. This year's allocation for healthcare in the government of Tamil Nadu is something like 22,000 crores. That's not a small amount of money. We have lots and lots of doctors. But do we really get the outcome relevant to 22,000 crores? The answer is no. And what is the single biggest thing we can do to change that? Is more data, more technology, more connectivity. I mean, the topics we're talking about today, connected intelligence, right? What is happening where, how, who, when. These things, of course, there's a huge global demand for it. And of course, Tamil Nadu is also a center of offshoring or outsourcing for medical processing, for claims processing, for patient record processing. We do a lot of that, but we don't do enough of it ourselves. So to me, it's a win-win. If we do this right, in the next 5 years, we should be creating so many enterprises that are innovating in 3 ways. 1, solving the problems of the people of Tamil Nadu and the government of Tamil Nadu. 2, using the scale and scope of these experiences to be worldwide, world-class solutions and really compete and create value. And 3, because a lot of AI technology requires this kind of data, right? The kind of data we would have were we to digitize the health records of 80 million people's state. We could really get a leg up on medical AI, right? And AI in things like radiology and other places, the disease recognition, automated clinical diagnoses. So there's a huge potential if we start applying these kinds of basic administrative principles, and they've been done around the world. It's not like we would be the pioneers. If you look at the NHS, if you look at the German public health system, if you look at the Australian public health system, these kinds of innovations in technology, in data-based management and optimization and allocation of resources have yielded tremendous results, and we should learn from them and do that.
You know, that reminds me, Minister, about 10 years ago, I had an opportunity to be with Eric Smith at Google, and one of the things he mentioned was by 2025, this is 10 years ago, he said engineers will be doctors. And he says the role of doctors will start diminishing by 2030. I'm sure it's not going to, disappear, but today, if you see the amount of AI that goes into health sciences, whether it's vaccine manufacturing or treatments, there is a big question on ethical use of AI. Everyone's as excited as they are with how productivity increases and other things have happened, but this concern about ethics is also popping up. How do you see that world changing in India, especially in Tamil Nadu, where we have the opportunity to kind of dramatically transform the world, but also use it carefully?
Yeah, I mean, before we go to AI, it's interesting you should say that doctors will be engineers, because I think the amount of engineering and the application of robotics, lasers, and other kinds of technologies in medical treatment has gone up so much that some of the most advanced doctors in the world actually are operating remotely, right, through robots or through computer-aided actions. So that itself is a big advancement, and whoever had the vision has seen it come true. But when it comes to AI and data and privacy, you see, it's a very fine line. We are far from the fine line, right? Once you get enough information, you start worrying, can you do insurance premium processing based on what you know about their risks? Then is it really like a risk-neutral pool? Can you be discriminated against because you come from this kind of group? This kind of South Asians have this higher likelihood of something X, Y, Z. So I agree, and I accept all those as genuine issues. But if you take a place like Tamil Nadu, we don't even have the basic records. If a villager walks into a primary health center in some remote district, let's say in a hill district in Namakkal, and starts with their problem there, and eventually ends up at the GH, at the district center hospital, there's very, very low likelihood of transference of any information from there till here, and you'll have to start the diagnosis all over again. So to me, first we must capture. Then of course we can have all of these debates about ensuring privacy, making it depersonalized so that it can never be traced back. But those, I hope that by the time we have that much data, the global standards in the advanced countries will help us kind of draw the ethical line on where it should be used and where it shouldn't.
Right. Okay, I think we're running out of time. We'll have two sections to close this out. Many of you know as, you as the minister, great background, but we want to hear some fun facts, what you like. I know you're a global traveler, you go around the globe. Favorite place outside India, Perth or New York?
Favorite place, if safety is not a concern, is probably Cape Town, South Africa.
Oh, that's awesome.
But if safety has to be included, then probably Perth. No.
I thought you would have picked New York, being your second home. Okay, within Tamil Nadu, favorite place, Chennai or Madurai?
Madurai.
Okay. How much time do you spend in Madurai?
I used to spend a lot more, but as a minister, probably now not so much. 2-3 days a week, I try to go to Madurai.
That's great. This could be a tricky question. Have you used ChatGPT for your work?
No, I'm too scared to connect my computer and have it go through everything I have. So I haven't so far.
Well, the information technology minister shouldn't be scared to connect to the network, right?
I have all my finances and all my other stuff on my computer.
That's great. We have thousands and thousands of students here. What do you have as advice for them as they enter the workforce?
I think it's such an exciting point in the evolution of technology. And I was speaking yesterday at a conference, and I said, every time you see this kind of disruptive transformation, what it does is it removes all the value of seniority, it removes all the fact that somebody had 10 years experience, somebody had 20 years experience. It's like a brand new field, right? So the view from the bottom normally is clogged by all the people of greater seniority and experience, and for you to see the top is quite difficult. But when you have this disruptive change, suddenly it's like blue sky, and whoever has the talent, whoever has the enterprise, whoever has the outside the box thinking can actually just go right up to the top, right? So this is a very interesting time, I think, to be a young person and to really be confident that you are only limited by your own creativity, your own ambition, your own confidence, and you can proceed much faster. And sometimes, and I'll give you this one anecdote, sometimes when things happen to you, you shouldn't see them in the short term, you should see them in the long term, right? I was once at a bank sitting in Mumbai when the bank filed bankruptcy in New York. And I was 40 years old, and I had recruited a whole lot of people who were 18, 19, 20, 21, like hundreds of people I had recruited from the top institutions, from the IITs, IIMs, NITs, BITS, XLRI, Xavier, St. Stephen's. And suddenly all of them were in a company, that 150-year-old company, that one day went bankrupt. And that day itself I told them, I said, listen, we picked you because you were the best. This job, no job is for life. We picked you because you are the best. For every one of you that's here, 10 people or 20 people applied. So the fact that the company has got trouble doesn't mean you have trouble. If not this job, you'll get some other job. So this is not your problem. It's not a long-term problem for you. It's going to be a difficult experience today because you thought you had certainty for 2 years or 5 years or 8 years, and that certainty has been removed from you. It turned out it was only for 30 days because I got them all employed by the buyer before I left in 30 days. But as uncertain as it is, I should think about it another way. This kind of disruption, this kind of shaking up of the system, I am only learning how to deal with when I'm 40. It'll benefit me greatly, but I'm already 40. Maybe I have 15, 20 years of work left. You guys are seeing this at 18 and 19 and 20, and you got the whole rest of your careers ahead of you. And the resilience and the skill set and the strength that you would build, having gone through this so young, you'll get to leverage it for so many more years, right? So in the short term, it's a negative. In the long term, it's actually a positive for you because you're going to come out of this fine. And they all did. They came out fantastically well, right? So sometimes you need to think of these things both today and what does it mean for me tomorrow or 5 years, 10 years.
That's a great advice. And first of all, thank you so much for your leadership for the state, and more than the state, the India, and you following your heart to come back to Tamil Nadu to serve, our people is such an inspiring thing. And under our honorable Chief Minister, you've done an amazing job inspiring so many of us to be here. So thank you again. A round of applause for our minister.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Look forward the next 2 days, sir.